Hello everybody, Andrew Casey at Hypersanity Audiobooks. Today I'm going to discuss pros and cons with listening to audiobooks. And yes, some examples are going to be obvious, but I'm still going to touch on them anyway. We can't see illustrations with an audiobook. However, there are a lot of advantages to audiobook, and I think there is a market where some books are actually better as audiobooks. And that's what I want to touch on in today's video. For now, we'll just get into it. Number 1. Autobiographies. I am nearly done with Bruce Campbell's book. Brilliant. And if you do like Evil Dead and some of the creative process of what they went through to create the Evil Dead movie, as well as some of the interesting stories from his life, I would say give the book a go. And as an audiobook, it's interesting having him personally narrating the story for you. And there was something more engaging with the book. Yes, also it is confirmed within the beginning of the book that they had a ghostwriter to work on the book and different ways of how they corresponded to get to the book to be published. But again, the way he narrates a story, because it's the author or the person intended being Bruce Campbell, and he's narrating it. I don't know, there was just something more enjoyable I found as an appreciation for autobiographies.
Market and should be considered only by an investor who has no plans to resell this security and fully and adequately understands the risk involved and can afford to lose his entire investment. Really instills confidence, doesn't it? We also had to disclose anything that might go wrong for any reason. These were known as risk factors. We stopped listing them after 11. It seemed embarrassing enough. They were as follows with translation. Number 1, it was a new venture.
Number 2, the biggest cons to consider. The biggest cons to consider are things like picture books, and I have never encountered this, but apparently there are choose-your-own-adventure books that require you to keep scrolling through to turn between chapter to chapter to try to get through an audiobook as a choose-your-own-adventure book. I've never encountered that before, so if anyone has something like that, please let me know. It'd be interesting to do a review on that. Otherwise, there are certain obvious factors that are cons to consider to why you shouldn't listen to an audiobook in the preference. And when it does come to certain things like maps as well in books, sometimes they're helpful and reading the book is more enjoyable than the audiobook. Although it brings me to another point. Number 3, writing perspective. My favourite is, for audiobooks, third-person omniscient perspective. I don't like reading third-person omniscient perspective. I find it's too much telling of the story. Though, for an audiobook, I find you're in the adventure. And one of the best examples was this one that I went through called Douche Mage. I quite enjoyed it. It's a game-lit fantasy type book, and when you're in the story, you feel like you're part of the game as to what the story is about. And that story was also good because it changed between two characters, one male, one female. And I know the author, Damien Hansen. I quite enjoyed this book, and as an audiobook, it was so much better. And yeah, there was just something with the telling of the story as an audiobook that helped us to obviously experience what the characters are experiencing compared to reading the book. However, when I did do a review on the other channel for it in one of my early videos, the sound quality is not the best, unfortunately, but I was reading through the certain part of the book talking about how there's humour within it. Little did I know, one point that I was reading in the book, there was a certain organisation that was done between letters and dots that spelt out orgasm. And I didn't get the joke at the time until I was doing the video and caught in the moment.
Has a way of adding the humour opening into the next chapter, and I found that's really good. So there's the prologue, 24 chapters, and then there's a couple parts where one part it says at the end, ORGASM, or Organizational Readers Guidance, Assist for System Mastery. Oh, I just got that.
Number 4, time. I find an audiobook that is 15 hours of length, I'll read it within 7 or 8 hours. So, yeah, time is the bigger factor. I will also upload more videos between the other two channels, Hypersanity Books and Hypersanity Books for Kids. With audiobooks, I still want to get through at least one audiobook per fortnight. So within this channel, I do intend to upload at least once a fortnight. Though, with time, that's probably one of the bigger downfalls. I have slowed down with my speed reading to obtain more information. Whereas with an audiobook, as much as you can speed it up, it just doesn't feel the same to listen to someone speed talking compared to reading the book or listening to it at a normal pace. Number 5, audiobooks and your brain. Wow, I will say this, I have been wrong for years because there has been limited research after looking at fMRIs and more details in evidence that's been provided from different universities on this subject. Wow, these 3 areas of the brain also light up with audiobooks, and maybe in a different way. So it brings into another discussion. Perhaps look at it this way. An MMA fighter may do some weight training to put on some muscle, so high weight, low reps. So think of reading like that. And then think of audiobooks as toning. So another thing I've liked to talk about is drop sets. You look at Lou Ferrigno in Pumping Iron, lifting the weights, doing the bicep curl, and then someone else hands him a lighter weight, and that's toning. So maybe you do some reading and take some time out to listen to an audiobook. Number 6, self-help books. Self-help books are excellent with audiobooks. It's a good way of helping to influence your mind, especially when you're dealing with certain challenges and problems. I also found there are some self-help books that are quite informative to bringing out some key points that may help with certain problems that you're dealing with. And as audiobooks, I would like to review certain self-help books on this channel. However, there is a dark side to all of this. Number 7, multi-level marketing. The problem and the dark side of self-help, especially when it comes to bigger companies, it's not about actually being helped, it's about being a consumer. So when I was in Amway, you sign up for Book of the Month, so you buy a self-help book every month, and you feel good about yourself, and then you repeat the process. Then there is the CD of the week or tape of the week, where you're consuming a product that requires 1 hour of your time, but you're collecting a mass amount of that sort of thing instead of looking on YouTube for free. I also find Skillshare can be helpful. Also, there are some parts of content of what you can find to solve different problems. So the point of what this has with audiobooks is sometimes you're consuming too much content of self-help, and there is a lot out there that is not actually good information. And one of the best things I got out of a self-help book was one point is called action faking. It's only convincing yourself that you're doing work when all you did was actually achieve nothing except for consuming more content. So that is the dark side that I do find with audiobooks, or in this sort of sense of self-help, to consuming too much content. So try to be aware of the quality of content that you're trying to consume, and hopefully this channel will do you a lot of justice. Number 8, did not finish. One book that I did not finish was the Game of Thrones audiobook. I don't remember the name of the book, but I tried to get through it, and the relation between Daenerys and her brother and the sensuality of being touched by your brother, wow, it was just too creepy for me. And to top it all off, the narrator who was doing the voice sounded like my university professor. And I have told him about this. Not just told him, I showed him how his voice was quite similar. And it was quite disturbing. And when you're listening to something in your ear about sensuality like that, yeah, it is disturbing, especially because the book and the story did not move along at a faster pace. It was trying to add more emphasis into things. So again, I did not finish the Game of Thrones book, and I haven't been too keen with the series. I did watch Season 8 with my wife, though, and I haven't followed Game of Thrones. That's just being honest. But with the audiobook, no, I could not finish it. I did, however, like how it was formed and outlined between character perspectives, how it went from one protagonist to another protagonist. I liked the way it was outlined. Again, there's just certain parts of what was written and what was said that it just didn't work for me as an audiobook.
Dangle wieners in my veins.
Stop, please! I can't take anymore!
But this is the best part.
Number 9. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I love A Christmas Carol, and the audiobook by Patrick Stewart, fantastic. I will be doing that on this channel. And there was so much of the dialogue that was engaging, and even though, again, back in the way the book was first written with the third-person omniscient perspective, it still worked well with the narration. And that's where I do have an appreciation as a seasonal audiobook. I do listen to this one every year. And it has been an audiobook that I've held close to my heart. And with Patrick Stewart, there's just something more with him doing the audiobook. However, there are other audiobooks that are done by other fantastic voice actors. There are other independent voice actors that aren't as big, and they do project well. And I do prefer it, especially listening to something authentic. AI still has a bit of frustrations with some things. However, if you are looking at the Dark Sparrow audio I have set up, it is in an AI voice, unfortunately, though one day it will be done as a proper audiobook. Number 10, to summarize, I will still keep reading 4 books compared to 1 audiobook. And it used to be a 20-to-1 ratio. I've changed some of my views on audiobooks, and not just in more recent doing this channel, but a lot more research has proven that it's not a bad idea. I also do a lot more writing myself. And for now, I will leave a link to the Dark Sparrow audiobook generated by an AI voice named Leanne Frecklington. That will be at the end screen. So if you do feel like listening to the audiobook compared to reading the book, yeah, definitely give Dark Sparrow a go. And it would be nice to get some good feedback and comments on this channel about the book. And in time, I will set up a proper audiobook for the book by a proper narrator. But that is another story, and shall be told another time.